Hey guys, Jacob here. This is going to be my raid slash damage to elites PvE build. I've had a lot of people lately ask me about this, and I gotta say this build is not 100% mine. I gotta give creation credit to basically Demonic Eckler, who's in part of the DoD clan. So he actually helped me create this and gave me some ideas on it, how to make it. So props to him. Now I'll get right into the build so you guys can see it right away. This is the Wyvern slash Fenris PvE build with the P416 and the M60. I'll go over the weapons first. The custom P416 G3. You don't have to use this. You can use something like this if you really want to, which is the Strained Allegro 27K military AK. So if you want to use that, you can, but I do not have the extended mag, so that's why I'm actually not using that weapon. But I'm using this, which is 22.2k damage, 825 RPM with the 50 round mag. That's pretty much why I'm using this with Strained, Allegro, and Grease. Strain is 5% crit hit damage is gained for every 10% of your armor that is depleted. Allegro, which is 10% rate of fire. And Grease, while holstered weapon swap speed is increased by 10%. The mods on this weapon are the EXP damage to elites hollow sight, the crit hit laser pointer, and the muzzle brake for damage to elites, which is 5%, and the sturdy 5.56 mag. If you don't have the 5.56 mag, that's the sturdy version. You could always use the light extended, which gives you 10%. Basically 10 extra rounds, so you don't have just 30 rounds in general. Next is the Black Market M60 E6, which is Unhinged, Allegro, and Zen, 29.9 damage. And the weapon attachments on this are the EXP Hollow Sight, the Angled Grip for stability, the large pouch, which is 35. You can get a bigger one if you want to use Gunner for the 50, but I'm using Survivalist. Muzzle Brake, which gives you 5% damage to elites. The reason I'm using these are, their talents are for the weapon damage from Unhinged, which makes you give you 20% weapon damage at the cost of negative 25% weapon handling. Allegro to make the gunfire faster. And Zen, while equipped, resting in cover for 3 seconds, removes blind and destroying status effects. And for the reason I'm using Strained, I will get into that a little bit later during the video and tell you guys why exactly I'm using that. The sidearm I'm using is the Military M9. I don't really have any really decent sidearms, but this is the one I'm currently using just to have it. Due to the fact that some of these are locked, so I'm just using this one just due to the fact I have all the talents on it. Next is going to be the mask, which is the Gila Guard mask, rolled for 20,000 health, 43% damage to elites, 10% from hard hitting, so you're actually getting 53, and you're getting 5% total armor. Next is the chest piece, which is the 11,000 health, 16% crit chance, 7% weapon damage, and 10% assault rifle damage, with Berserk and Vital. If you can get one that has hard hitting on this, I do have one, but it's a little bit different, has a little bit less weapon damage, so I decided to use this one instead. But if you get hard hitting on there, it actually might be a little bit better for you to use if you want more higher damage to elites. And the mod on this is a 4% weapon assault rifle damage and 1% weapon damage. The holster is the Wyvern holster, which has 15% crit chance with devastating and offensive mod with weapon damage, damaged armor, and assault rifle damage. The backpack, which is kind of a problem at the moment for me. I actually haven't rolled this yet. I have a backpack that has, I think, around 16% crit damage, and also have one that has 10% weapon damage, so I could probably roll one of those and get a little bit higher weapon damage on this. I just not have touched this yet, but this is the backpack I'm currently using with crit damage, weapon damage, and health. The gloves are Murakami with assault rifle, health, and weapon damage, which is from Devastating, which gives you 5%, and you're also getting 8% health from the Murakami. Now the knee pads are rolled for 6% crit chance and hard hitting, and that gives you 10% damage to elites, and the mod on this is an offensive mod, which this one's kind of garbage, honestly, but it's the only one I really have that has weapon handling and the one that has weapon damage on it, so I've been using this with the M60 as for the backup weapon. But I might actually change this and roll this, or basically throw on there one that has a little bit more weapon damage for the P416. Okay, now I'm going to go over some of the pieces and why I'm using them and what I'm using them together with. And first of all, the Strained AR is one of the main key components about this build, and so is Berserk. When you're in the raid and you're almost pretty much, say, you're face tanking NPC, Berserk will proc and give you that 10% weapon damage. And some of you guys are probably thinking, oh, that's really, really stupid. You should use Unbreakable, Unstoppable Force, stuff like that. But if you are face tanking NPCs, like I say, I've used this build on the raid multiple times. It does work. That is if you are with the right team. You always got to go with team play as well and get with the right people who can help you complete the raid and get through it. But so far this build hasn't had any issues, or I've had any issues with it during the raid, and it's helped me kill NPCs like crazy. But Berserk gives you that 10% weapon damage for 20% max armor that is depleted. And if you go to Strained, you will see that you're getting 5% crit hit damage for every 10% of your armor that is depleted. So you can use these both together, use Strained and Berserk together to get weapon damage and crit hit damage. And if you go to your character sheet, which is right here, you can see all the things I'm using. And you go down to the crit chance and crit damage. The crit damage can be increased way more if you have the a little bit higher rolls. But you can see 52% crit chance, 22,000 weapon damage, and 36% crit damage, 55% headshot damage. If you want more headshot damage, you could always use the Nemesis and use the 3.5 scope, if I remember correctly, to zoom in and use it, stuff like that. But next, this is the offensive. You can see here's all the stats here: 42% assault rifle damage bonus, and all weapon damage bonus, which is 24.5. And weapon handling is 5%. And you also go down to your armor and your damage to elites. You can see 86% damage to elites. You can get this up higher if you have get rid of the devastating, which you can do if you really want to, and have over 100, which you can just flip it. So if I flip the holster and if I flip the vest, that'd be 20%, so I'd be over 100. Armor is 108,000, max health 115,000. You guys can see all the stats here. For skills are pretty much just about 0, except the pulse, because that's just one of the mods that's currently on there at the moment. Okay, now I'm going to go over a few other things too, which is the skills, and that's the reason why I'm using them. This is unnecessary. If you're using this for PvE, I was mostly using this just to find NPCs. But what you want to use if you're solo is the Reviver Hive, or if you just want to use it in general, you could use this if you get dropped, especially in the raid. This is 100% necessary. I think these two skills are two of the best skills you can use, due to the fact that if you get down and your teammates can't get you, the Reviver Hive will. And you can also use the Chem Launcher for heals instead of using your medkits 24/7. If you don't want to use the Chem Launcher and you're a survivalist, you can use the Mender Seeker Mine instead if you really want to. That's going to be about it, guys, for the build, really. Basically, the main idea was to face tank NPCs and try not to, run out in the open as much. But if you have to face tank NPCs and your armor's almost gone, you will just rip through them. And you also have a decent amount of damage and can just rip through pretty much anything. I have been using this in the raid. This build is not 100%. It was a pain in the ass to get rolls like this with Devastating, with an offensive mod, and also get 15% crit chance on a holster to roll it on there, and also was a pain to get a Strained AR. Also, I am using the crossbow with explosive bolts for the survivalist, but you can pretty much use whatever you want due to the fact that you can pretty much use anything on any of the specialists now. If you want to use assault rifle, you can use assault rifle. If you want LMG, you can use LMG. But that's gonna be really about it, guys. Thank you all for watching. I know this video wasn't much, but a lot of you guys wanted to see it, so this is what it is. This is what I've been using. But as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one, and make sure you guys subscribe for more Division 2 content.
We had the training. We fought to protect the weak. But training doesn't prepare you to hunt someone you used to call brother. He has left us no other choice. If we don't stop him, there will be nothing left to save.
Holy shit, what about that? Man. Woo! I can't wait for that. Okay, one last thing. As you might know, we have been working on a movie. It will be directed by David Leitch, starring Jessica Chastain and Jake Gyllenhaal. Well, today, I'm proud to announce that we will be making the Division movie with Netflix. More to come on that in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you.